Chapter 2 of Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Behrend. Read to you by Katherine Damstetter. How to attract to yourself the things you desire. The power within you, which enables you to form a thought picture, is the starting point of all there is. In its original state, it is the undifferentiated, formless substance of life. Your thought picture makes the model, so to say, into which this formless substance takes shape. Visualizing or mentally seeing things and conditions as you wish them to be is the condensing, the specializing power in you, which might be illustrated by comparison with the lens of a magic lantern, which is one of the best symbols of the imaging faculty. It illustrates the idea of the working with the creative spirit on the plane of initiative and selection, or in its concentrated specializing form, in a remarkably clear manner. The picture slide illustrates your own mental picture, invisible in the lantern of your mind until you turn on the light of your will. That is to say, you light up your desire with absolute faith that the creative spirit of life in you is doing the work. By the steady flow of the light of the will on the spirit, your desired picture is projected upon the screen of the physical world, an exact reproduction of the pictured slide in your mind. A woman came to me for help to cause her husband to return to her. She said she was very unhappy and lonely without him and longed to be reunited. I told her she could not lose love and protection because both belonged to her. She asked what she should do to get her husband back again. I told her to follow the great power of intuition and think of her husband as perfectly free and the embodiment of all that a husband should be. She went away quite happy, but returned in a few days to tell me that her husband desired a divorce in order to marry again. She was quite agitated and had evidently relaxed her will in following the instruction given at the former interview. Again, I told her to hold constantly in her mind that the loving protection of the spirit of life would guide her in perfect happiness. A month later, she came again and said that her husband had married the other woman. This time she had completely lost her mental grip. I repeated the words for her as before, and she regained her poise. 2 months later, she came back to me full of joy. Her husband had come to her, begging her forgiveness and telling her what a terrible mistake he had made, as he could not be happy without her. They are now living happily together, and she, at least, learn the necessity of holding her mental pictured desire steadily in place by the use of her will. On the other hand, if your will is sufficiently developed to hold your picture in thought and feeling without any ifs, simply realizing that your thought is the great attracting power, then your mental picture is as certain to be projected upon your physical world as a picture slide put into a magic lantern shows on the screen. Try projecting the picture in a magic lantern with a light that is constantly shifting from one side to the other, and you will produce the effect of uncertain will. It is as necessary that you should always have back of your picture strong, steady will as it is to have strong, steady light back of a picture slide. The joyous assurance with which you make your picture is the powerful magnet of faith, and nothing can obliterate it. You are happier than you ever were because you have learned to know where your source of supply is, and you rely upon its never-failing response to the direction you give it. All said and done, happiness is the one thing which every human being wants. And the study of visualization enables you to get more out of life than you ever enjoyed before. Increasing possibilities keep opening out more and more before you. A businessman once told me that since practicing visualization, and forming the habit of devoting a few minutes a day to thinking about his work as he desired it to be, in a large, broad way, his orders had more than doubled in 6 months. His method was to go into a room every morning before breakfast and take a mental inventory of his business as he had left it the evening before, and then enlarge upon it. He said he expanded and expanded in this way until his affairs were in a remarkably successful condition. He would see himself in his office doing everything he wanted. His occupation required him to meet many strangers every day. In his mental picture, he saw himself meeting these people, understanding their needs, and supplying them in just the way they wished. This habit, he said, had strengthened and steadied his will in an almost inconceivable manner. Furthermore, by thus mentally seeing things as he wished them to be, he had acquired the confident feeling that a certain creative power was exerting itself for him and through him for the purpose of improving his little world. When you first begin to visualize seriously, you may feel, as many others do, that someone else may be forming the same picture you are, and that naturally would not suit your purpose. Do not give yourself any concern about this. Simply try to realize that your picture is an orderly exercise of the universal creative power specifically applied. Then you may be sure that no one can work in opposition to you. The universal law of harmony prevents that. Endeavor to bear in mind that your mental picture is universal mind, specifically exercising its inherent powers of initiative and selection. God, or universal mind, made man for the special purpose of differentiating himself through him. Everything there is came into existence in this same way, by this same self-law of self-determination and differentiation, and for the same purpose. First came the idea, the mental picture, or the prototype of the thing, which is the thing itself in its incipiency. The great architect of the universe contemplated himself as manifesting through his polar opposite, matter, and the idea expanded and projected itself until we have not only a world, but many worlds. Many people ask, but why should we have a physical world at all? The answer is because it is the nature of originating substance to solidify under directivity rather than activity, just that it is the nature of wax to harden when it becomes cold, or plaster of Paris to become firm and solid when exposed to air. Your picture is this same divine substance in its original state, taking form through the individualized center of divine operation in your mind. And there is no power to prevent this combination of spiritual substance from becoming physical form. It is the nature of spirit to complete its work, and an idea is not complete until it has made itself a vehicle. Nothing can prevent your picture from coming into concrete form except the same power which gave it birth, yourself. Suppose you wish to have a more orderly room. You look about your room, and the idea of order suggests boxes, closets, shelves, hooks, and so forth. The box, the closet, and the hooks are all concrete ideas of order because they are the vehicles through which order and harmony suggest themselves.